let's go right out to Dove Valley and Troy Renck. Troy has been all over the Antonio Smith story. Troy, what can you tell us? What can you update us with?
Obviously, in this case, the Fort Bend County are investigating Antonio Smith's suspicion of child abuse. It's an allegation at this point. No charges have been filed. It's been an ongoing investigation for several months, according to the DA there. What I can tell you is the Broncos were unaware of anything going on upon the time they signed Antonio Smith. They did not learn of this until last night. Again, they're gathering more information as we are, but as of right now, again, he's under suspicion, but nothing else.
Troy, let me go big picture here on you. When I first saw the story, I thought, didn't the Broncos, because as you pointed out, this has been an ongoing investigation for months. Are teams like the Broncos going to have to do a better job of vetting before they sign free agents, of going deeper into their background, if you will, into what possible problems they might be having, rather than just saying, oh, here's a guy, there's no police record, we're going to sign him? Or do you just take the Dallas Cowboys approach and say, hey, all comers, it doesn't matter. You know, they should put a Statue of Liberty in Dallas. We'll take your poor, we'll take your abusive players, we'll take anybody. So, I mean, what's your response?
Well, there is an issue of character here, and the Broncos take that seriously. You can see that in their statement, is why they said they weren't unaware of this when they signed him. To your point, Woody, in question, should they go deeper into this? I do think that you're going to see, as this carries out over, not with just with the Broncos, but more teams, that they are going to find themselves in a position where it's not enough to just do, references and a simple background check. They may have to go deeper into it through multiple residences where a person may have lived over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years. Again, in this case, it's gone on for several months, but no charges were filed. And it is a little different, Woody, in that Gary Kubiak, Wade Phillips, and Bill Kollar, the defensive line coach, all know Antonio Smith very well. He played for the Texans for 4 years, so he's not like your normal free agent that you're bringing in. He came in with high recommendations because he played well for that coaching staff, and for the most part, other butting heads a little bit with his coaches early in his Texans career, there were no issues. So in that case, I don't know that this is a Broncos issue as much. Maybe it becomes a league-wide issue that the climate has changed and that you have to just cover all bases when you're going to sign someone.
Troy, John Elway has joked in the past under certain circumstances that he doesn't have a plan B, but he always does have a plan B. Look, again, Antonio Smith is only being investigated. He hasn't been charged. He could very well be, on the field when the rest of the team is on the field, whenever that is. But let's assume the worst. If Antonio Smith is fighting legal battles and cannot be in uniform, what do the Broncos do at this point? Do they need to go out and pick up another defensive lineman? Are they happy with what they have? What's the deal there?
Well, they wouldn't be able to pick up one of his experience. I mean, that would be, and the fact that he has not only experience, but experience in the 3-4 defense. He was brought in to be a mentor. So they could add depth by waiver wire claims. I mean, there's not a lot out there in terms of a veteran. That could happen closer to camp and or in camp, frankly, when guys get cut. But right now, they're taking a wait-and-see approach, gathering information to see where this plays out. They're not prepared to. Obviously, I'm sure internally they're talking about what would their options be, but they're not going to publicly say they're looking at other options until they get more information on this case, Les. But there's just not a lot of great options at this point. Free agency, for the most part, is done, and their money is, for the most part, spent. So they would have to be addressing it through younger players and or during training camp when other players get cut.
Two final questions, Troy, and we appreciate you joining us and know your time's limited. What happened to Kevin Vickerson? The last I heard, he got cut. And I just say, there was a veteran guy who did some good work for the Denver Broncos, and maybe I'm catching you off guard here, but I hadn't seen him signed as a free agent. He was a guy that worked all across the defensive line. And number two, in a year, again, where the Broncos are trying their best to finally win a Super Bowl for Peyton Manning, do they need issues that crop up in this manner? Because they have issues that have touched other teams in recent years, have sort of destructed the teams.
Well, we'll see where this goes. I mean, certainly if it plays out in a court situation and/or suspension, obviously that's to the detriment of the team. There's no way around that. The Talib case that came up earlier, that was dismissed. That's why I always say we got to let these things play out, because there was a lot of issue around Talib and what may or may have happened in a Dallas nightclub, and then no charges are filed, and so you move on. But in the case of Vickerson, Woody, it's my understanding he has not signed. If the previous coaching staff were here, I would think there'd be a good chance. I don't see him as of now. Again, these things change quickly. I don't see him now, as of now, being a candidate. I mean, he got beat out last year by Unrein, and they felt like he was on the other side of his career. Again, if they get to a point where there's nobody out there and they want a veteran, he certainly is a locker room leader and a guy people respect. But it feels like, having been around the team for a year, he would have fit much better under the previous regime where they knew him, where Kubiak's looking for guys who know Wade Phillips, know him, know the 3-4 defense.
Troy, we'll keep an eye on your stuff at denverpost.com, and I'm sure you'll be updating this throughout the day. So thanks for your time, Troy.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, Troy Renck of the Denver Post. That segment brought to you by the Harmony Foundation. It is Colorado's premier treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. It's located just outside of Estes Park. They've got a really nice private 45-acre mountain campus. They are insurance friendly, so visit them if you need more info at harmonyfoundationinc.com.